saga of nakshatras.
What do you want to know?
We can start from the reverse and go to the first one. Mostly because I haven't found very discerning accounts on nakshatras, barring my friend Aman, who does a lot of research and some pages. But Vedic Twitter is in fact more dominated by nakshatras than it is by other things. Is what I've seen.
Nakshatras are very important, so I'll dispel a couple of myths over here because I'm tired of tweeting about them and saying the same thing over and over again.
Sure, we'll cut you a clip of this.
One, there's no planetary lord of a nakshatra. So when people say, oh, this nakshatra is ruled by Mercury, this nakshatra is ruled by Mars, that does not happen. The only lord of the nakshatra is their husband, Chandra. Chandra rules over all of these nakshatras. And the secondary sort of lords, we can say, is the devtas that rule over the nakshatras. That is my perspective. Other people can completely differ. And
Jyotish guys, attack.
And then the other myth about nakshatras is you can't use them with like in separation with the planets. So some people are like, oh, I have this nakshatra, and they don't exist in the D9, D10, D57, whatever chart.
Just
by
in the
way.
D1 chart.
Just in the D1 chart, because you actually see them in the sky. You don't really see them. So the divisional charts, they're actually just like they don't really exist in the sky when you're born. They're taken out of your regular chart. But yeah, those are the myths about nakshatras. Okay, so starting from
Let's start from the reverse.
Revati Nakshatra. Okay, so Revati Nakshatra is ruled by a psychopomb known as Pushan. So Pushan had this strange incident with Shiva where Shiva kicked his face and his teeth fell out. And so he roams around toothless. Because he was talking a lot. And that's why I told you about this whole Mercury and Pisces thing, right? Why it debilitates over there. But it's also the nakshatra of, transporting from one place to another. There's just like a complete, you go from the womb to then into the real world. That's what Revati is. It's that Gantanta nakshatra. So with Revati and Ashwini, we get Svagandanta, which means self-tied knot. This is where you give trouble to yourself in Revati and Ashwini.
Yeah, for context, Ashwini is the start and then Revati is the end, right?
Yeah,
This
so
is
that-
the life cycle.
Yeah,
of a
so
person.
that is known as Swagantanta, which means to give problems to myself.
Yeah, good. So both nakshatras are good self-sabotagers.
Yeah, really good at that.
But for context, you're talking about in this particular podcast, you're talking about moon nakshatras,
Yeah.
Janma nakshatras,
Only
right?
Janma nakshatra.
This does not apply to ascendants or sun or anything else.
This whole like thing about sun
Rising
nakshatra,
moon, sun,
rising, all of those things, it's fun and all to play around with and to understand yourself with, but your most important is your Janma nakshatra, mainly because it's the mother and the mother gives birth to you and she's supreme. That's my take.
Take received. Chalo. Fir?
But okay, so we have Ashwini nakshatra, which is the birth of
Aren't you doing Revati to...
so Revati and then
No, Revati to the end? How do you want to do this? You want to do Revati and then go all the way back to Ashwini?
No, just Revati, Ashwini. That's where the life cycle ends at Revati, and then you begin a new life.
Okay,
in
so you're
Ashwini.
starting at
That's-
Revati and then going to Ashwini.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ashwini is the conception point of
Okay.
where like the egg and the sperm unite,
Yeah.
and then Bharni is the point. So did you know that the ovum or the egg basically decides what kind of sperm it wants? It's a very Yama-like thing, right? And so that's what Bharni represents.
But you
It's
didn't
that
talk slightly more about Ashwini.
Ashwini is
All the Ashwinis in the house are pissed off now. Look, there's the Ashwini right there.
Ashwini is the nakshatra of, again, transport is a common theme between those two nakshatras. So you go from your past life into a new area of life. But it's in Revati, it's a little more, there's a tinge of sadness there. But with Ashwini, it's still a little happier because it's also,
Just
the
born.
deities are related to Ashwini Kumaras, who are very jolly. Like if you read any accounts of their birth, they would come in, they would dance, and they would celebrate life. And so it's the start of something new. So you let go of everything old in Revati, and then you start fresh with Ashwini. And then Bharni, it gets a little more intense because then you come in with so much enthusiasm, and then Bharni gets to decide whether you are supposed to live a certain type of life or not. So
What does that mean?
so, like I said, the egg decides what kind of sperm it wants. And it is your mother who basically, and which is why it's related to the yoni. Bharni's symbol is the yoni. So, it is the yoni that decides whether you're going to be in this life for a certain point of time, whether you're going to die within the yoni itself. There's a lot of factors related to Bharni. It's a very interesting nakshatra in general. And so we have next is Kritika, which is related to Kartikeya. And Kartikeya had 7 mothers who were, and he was taking a lot of nourishment from them, which is why it's the exaltation of the moon. And it seeks a lot of nourishment in this life. And it's related to, Kritika is a common nakshatra between, in like people who are in the hotel industry and stuff like that. They love feeding people. So Kritika Nakshatra would represent, your first food, that nourishment that you get. And then we go to Rohini, where you enjoy that food, which is why Rohini is the favorite wife. Actually, when you look at the elliptical, the moon slows down in the Taurus constellation. That's why it looks like it's spending a lot of time with Rohini.
Hence the story about everyone else being pissed off at Rohini, right?
Only Jeshta was pissed off, and then she
Sorry.
riled every other
I'm
sister.
apologizing for Jeshta.
So Jeshta, and fairly, it's not like an unfair because the moon is lustful. He's going to want to try to spend time with this one who is full, and she's voluptuous, and she's beautiful, and she's giving, and she's kind of like not very attached to this guy. She's kind of enjoying by herself. And so with Jeshta, she's just like, hello, you have to spend time with your other wives. That's why Jeshta Nakshatra is good at speaking up. So a lot of controversial people, they tend, Donald Trump, look at him.
Love him. Yeah.
Jeshta Nakshatra. So
No, but you were Rohini.
yeah, Rohini. So Rohini is where you enjoy the food. It's at the middle of the second house, so it's where you get a lot of comfort and you're really happy. And then Rohini is also the birth of creativity. It's like Saraswati Nakshatra.
If you want to watch small segments of the podcast, subscribe to Toscast Clips.
And then from Rohini, we move on to... So Rohini starts becoming... So have you heard that story of Brahma and Saraswati and Brahma chasing the creation?
You also talked about this story earlier on the podcast
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
So Brahma starts chasing Rohini, and this actually represents this attachment we have to our creation, that motherly bond that mothers have with their children and everything. So this is what Rohini is actually running away from, and she turns into a deer, which gets to Mrigashira Nakshatra. Mrigashira Nakshatra is the nakshatra of, it's known as the searching star. It's constantly seeking some respite. So there's this very interesting story about Mrigashira and the perfume called Kasturi. I don't know if you've...
Yeah, वो जो मशहूर कहानी है कस्तूरी हिरण की, जिसकी नाभि के अंदर वो कस्तूर की महक होती है, लेकिन वो हर जगह ढूंढता रहता है उसको दुनिया भर में.
Yeah, and they're driven mad with this search. Where's the smell coming from? And so that stage of our life also comes in when we're, like toddlers and we're babies. We're driven mad by so much stimulation. That's why when you're like younger, the colors seem a lot brighter.
Yeah, fuck. Now it's all dim.
And now everything just seems like you watch something when you were a child and you rewatch it now. It's like it just doesn't feel the same.
I remember as a kid, you remember oil pastels?
Yeah.
The colors? There used to be a color called Prussian blue. मुझे पता नहीं वो क्यों याद है. And I'd be like, wow, Prussian blue को waste नहीं करना, क्योंकि इसकी blue की गहराई अलग ही next level है. So, and I would just color with it. Prussian blue कितना गहरा है, wow. Now it's all fucking blue and I can't see it.
Yeah. Well, you drink a lot of that soma, the juice of life, when you're looking at it from a new perspective, right? When you're a baby. But now, because you've seen the same thing over and over again, you're just like, kya naya hai? Tree, that's all I see. There's nothing new.
Yeah.
Which is why there's this kriya that we do. It's called nididhyasa, which means to constantly free your mind of all of those perceptual qualities that you attach to a certain
What is
place.
this kriya?
Nididhyasa. So sit and meditate over a thing. Let's say you meditate over yourself. That's the biggest thing because you have so many concepts attached to yourself. So you're just like, what am I without this? What am I without this? What am I without this? And you become closer and closer to the realization that you're actually not limited as a being. And so it refreshes your perspective every time you get a new insight. And that's like an exercise in creativity.
Sure.
That's why they say ask people to journal all the time. It's practically nididhyasa. So that's Mrigashira Nakshatra. It's in that search for Soma. And then after Mrigashira, we come to Punarvasu. It's a nakshatra that a lot of people don't really talk about, but Rama was born under this nakshatra, and he was such a great warrior. No, Rama was born under Pushya or Punarvasu?
We can check that.
I think it's Punarvasu only.
Would you like to have some water?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
So we have Punarvasu Nakshatra where there's like a rebirth of some kind taking place, and that's what difficulty does to you if you're moving constantly and you have that sort of strong stop somewhere. You have to be reborn, and that I missed a nakshatra in between. Ardra, there's 27 of them. Please don't.
That's okay. That's if you want, I can have the list so I can just tell the names to you.
I do remember them. I'd be a bad astrologer if I don't remember
It's
them.
okay.
But I have to keep going back
okay.
and forth. But Ardra Nakshatra is that sort of tear, right? It's that tear of Rudra that drops, and it's that tear of compassion. So if you're and so that's the nakshatra where a lot of like people who are in service related industry are sort of born because they want to touch people's hearts and they want to give to people in a lot of ways, and it's an extremely compassionate nakshatra. A lot of people with Ardra nakshatra also tend to be vegetarians from what I've seen, because they love animals. The Lord of Animals, Pashupatinath, is related to that particular nakshatra, and so we have that difficulty of Ardra, recognizing that compassion of that deer who's constantly seeking Soma. And then we have Punarvasu, that's that rebirth point. It's also represent. So Punarvasu is a very spiritually rich nakshatra, and then it then moves into a slightly more intense nakshatra, which is Ashlesha. So here we have
No, you missed Pushya.
Pushya. Okay, Pushya is the nakshatra. So Punarvasu, you accumulate a lot of wealth and you accumulate a lot of things after difficulty. Pushya is where you begin to unburden that wealth and giving it to other people. So it's the nakshatra that's related to so anybody who has Pushya, this is a observation shared by one of my friends, anybody who will have Pushya in their chart, they will always be nourished no matter what. They'll have their basic needs met. It'll never be like, oh, I'm suffering because of poverty. They'll always be taken care of by some grace of God. So that's why it's known as the most auspicious nakshatra. So after Pushya, you give away all of your wealth and everything, and then you have Ashlesha, which is known as the clinging star. So Ashlesha nakshatra is related to yoga, not the yoga that we do with asana practice, but real yoga, union with the divine. So clinging to this idea of the divine and trying to seek juice from divine sources and everything. That's why they're really intelligent. It's a very intelligent nakshatra. It keeps getting reduced to just this seductive
Serpent, manipulator, trickster.
Yeah. But the serpent who actually provoked Eve to eat the apple, again, it's related to Ashlesha nakshatra in some way. So we have Ashlesha, and then here comes the Matrugandanta, which is Ashlesha to Magha, where you give trouble to your mother.
Bunch of maghas crying in the comments.
But trouble to your mother could also be interpreted as trouble to your own mind, because Matra is related to the mind we have. And so we have Ashlesha, and then we have Magha Nakshatra, where that's that burden or that responsibility of a throne, which is very important again. And Magha Nakshatra is also related to the Pitris, so doing whatever your ancestors have been doing for a long time, all of those things. I actually have like a whole chart about the nakshatras and what their duties are and everything, if you want to see it.